Hey everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I'm James, that's Katie, and of course, that makes this the first ever episode number 8 of Cloud Control.
Yeah, we know how to count, and so 8 is the next consecutive number. But it's not just episode 8, James. We have a very, very special episode today, don't we?
It is a very special episode, and people listening on the video feed might have realized by now that there is in fact a third face joining us today. In fact, I'd be pretty shocked if you didn't notice that, so let's hope you did. It is our first ever guest on the Cloud Control podcast. A face you would recognize if you're a fan of our old show, Circles and Squares, but we are happy today to introduce our first ever guest of the show. It's our good friend Mike, aka MrDelMonster, here today to talk to us about our featured topic, which is, of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But just before we get into that, anything else, Mike, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Oh, pleasure to be here as always. So as James said, my name is Mike, also known as MrDelMonster. You can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube, all under the same name. I am a monopoly. I own it. It is mine.
He's got the internet cornered on the DelMonster brand name. And for those of you that don't know, from last time, Mike actually joined us to talk all about Pokemon the franchise last time. We had a great episode. I'll link that one in the description of this show, just in case anyone is interested in that, because I think the three of us have a lot of we have a lot of Pokemon knowledge, and it was a good chat. So hopefully we'll get some more of that today. But before we do any of that, of course, one last thing, Michael, you stream now. Since you came on last time, you do the Twitch, and you are raising money for Movember, which is a great cause. So please tell everyone about that. And they have a very short time left to donate by the time this episode comes out. So give everyone the details on that.
That's right. So by the time this episode comes out, what was it going to be? November 29th?
29th.
You'll have that day and one more day to donate if you feel so inclined to do so. I'm donating as much money as I can raise to the Movember Foundation to support men's health and men's mental health and suicide prevention. We've raised, I think, in terms of total money, about $550, and then everything that comes through on Twitch in November, all the ad revenue, any subscription revenue, bits, and whatever else is going towards Movember, and I'm also going to double it myself to put on top of that. So I think with all that together, we're probably going to be at about 600 by the end of it. So
that's amazing. Congratulations, man. That's a great cause, and happy to help with whatever we can bring to you from our audience. If anyone has any availability to do so, please support it. That's a great cause, and proud of you for doing that, man. That's a lot of work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Kate, what do you say we get started on the show for today? Of course, we are talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. A game which I've not played. Kate's played a little bit, and Mike here is our expert, so he's played the most. We'll be going over that for the most of the show. The second half, Kate has prepared a lovely quiz for us. It's Pokemon adjacent, I've been told, but Mike and I will compete to see who is, of course, the Pokemon master. And then, as you all know, we do listener mail at the end of the show, where you can write in to be a part of the show to CloudControlPod at proton.me. Although today we're changing it up just a little bit. We don't have a question at the end of the show, so we'll be sprinkling in some of your favorite Pokemon from the new game throughout our discussion today. So let's start that discussion off then at the very top. Just before we get really down into it, I just want to know, how much of each of you played? Where are you at? What are your initial impressions of Scarlet Violet? And which version are you playing to? Mike, maybe you go first. You're the resident.
You want me to go first?
You can go first. Go ahead.
Sure. So I think after today, because I streamed this afternoon, I'm at about 13, maybe 14 hours of gameplay in. I have 4 traditional badges. Spoilers coming. 2 Titan badges and 2 Star badges.
Very
so we'll go on more on that in a little bit. We'll let Kate go and see how far she is.
So yeah, I am much newer to the game than you are. I didn't have it on launch day, and to be honest, I have been prioritizing God of War. But I played probably about 3 or 4 hours of Pokemon now. As of about 10 minutes before we started the stream, I have acquired my first traditional gym badge. And I have yet to pick up any of the other types of badges. But I've been playing, kind of streaming it just with some friends who are quite a bit further than me, and I've seen them do some of those additional content things. So I've seen more than I've played, but I'm a Badgeon, so you could say I'm an official trainer at this point.
I would say you are
Fair enough.
for sure.
Good,
So
good stuff.
so just to catch
Also,
anyone up, that's
I'm playing
you're
Violet.
playing Violet. Kate,
I'm
Scarlet.
also playing Violet
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think everybody that I know was playing Violet.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what it was? You know what got me to pick Violet is I had the option of the two, and I didn't look up the differences between them, but I assumed that of the two like Mega Man kind of characters, you would get the purple one in Violet, which I think looks cooler. So I
Fair.
picked Violet.
How else do you
Fair,
pick your
fair
version?
enough.
You know, like you got to pick
Yeah.
by the coolest one. That's all it is.
I mean,
Exactly.
purple just trumps red. It's just
Exactly. I think
as simple as that.
yeah, it's so much sleeker, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to lay down some quick facts before I shut up and let you guys talk about Pokemon. Just for those that have not really seen too much about this game, just to lay the land out, right? Because we're talking Scarlet and Violet as if everyone listening is going to know those games, but they might not. So this is the newest game. Game Freak release came out on November 18th. It's the third Pokemon game to come out this year, including Legends Arceus and the Diamond Pearl remake. So they've had a busy year, of course they always do. But this game, everybody, if you didn't know, has already sold over 10 million copies in the first 3 days. It is Nintendo's biggest launch of all time so far, which I guess is Pokemon, not super surprising. But the premise of this game is it's set in an open world. There are multiple quest lines. The claim is that you can do them all in different orders. You can really have your own sort of Pokemon open world adventure. And just from doing my own kind of browsing around of the sources that I trust online and the opinions that I find credible, the overall sort of sentiment that I've been able to scrounge up that I want to challenge you guys on to see if this is true or where the gaps are is that this is largely this is a lot of the direction that a lot of longtime fans want Pokemon to move in that they are expanding it and they've taken out a lot of the kind of hand-holdy, step-by-step, follow us down these linear routes sort of nature of the game, and that's great. There's it's less hand-holdy. You can craft the TMs. There's no random encounters. They're all the Pokemon are roaming the map now. There's no HMs. I've heard the story actually has like interesting story beats insofar as like the end of the game is actually like somewhat impactful in a way that Pokemon never is. I'm a little skeptical of that myself. Like, it seems like high hopes, but of course it comes with all the awful bugs and visual performance and just the complete like lack of optimization of pretty much everything going on in the game, functionality wise. So, I'm interested to see how you guys find the balance of that to be. But yeah, just starting off, I guess, how is the open world? Like, tell me about how this game, like, how do you play it? Like, is it actually free roam in the way that it's described? Maybe we'll go back to Kate first with your first couple hours, right? Before we let Mike take off with his 14 hours.
Yeah, I'm hard to say for sure because the beginning is obviously very long tutorial as Pokemon is wont to do. So it's a lot of kind of go here, come to the school, like learn how to do this, whatever. But once you get past that first like hour, 2 hours and getting out of the school, you really can just go wherever you want. And do like whatever you want to go do a gym, you want to go do like one of the other side quests first, like you can totally just go off and explore. I believe there are some areas or places that are gated by getting different traversal mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your bike, but it can't go on water right away or it can't fly right away, for example. So, and Mike, you can confirm if this is having played a bit more, if that's true or not, but it seems like based on looking at the map that getting those is necessary for certain places. But at the same time, like in a Pokemon game, I don't want to go to like the 8th gym where they've got like, like a strong team and I have level like 15 bug and 1 bird, like,
Yeah.
so I don't really see that as a problem.
And so does that continue as well, Mike, like on further into the game, or do you find like you're getting caught up?
So I haven't really experienced getting stuck in any given location. It hasn't been too much of an issue. Of course, the first part of the game, you're very, very barricaded in. You can't traverse high up onto mountains where you could get past or go across water, whatever it is, because you just simply don't have the means to do so. But like Kate said, once you get your legendary motorcycle, your ability to traverse becomes a lot easier. You can jump higher, you can move faster, and then, like I stated with the different types of badges, there are Titan badges that you get. And in doing so, it creates kind of it's weird. It creates a Metroidvania aspect to Pokemon where you get new traversal methods that allow you to reach locations that you couldn't have previously. So there's a TM up on the cliff early. You couldn't get there. Well, you get the ability for your motorcycle to jump higher or to go faster. You couldn't catch a Pokemon because it was running away too fast. So now you can actually speed up. Like, it's interesting. I've only got
Huh.
2, but I've been able to jump higher and move faster. And I'm assuming that there's the ability to swim and the ability to fly.
Hmm.
I wouldn't know what the 5th one is because I haven't been there, but the world it's really at your disposal to do whatever you want.
That's really encouraging. And so when it comes to the different storylines that you're doing then like in the world, and just like feel free to take this however you want, like whatever kind of points or things you want to fit in, like please be my guest and just tell us about it. But like how do you just run into these events then, and you're basically just sort of like in Breath of the Wild or like a
Well,
game like that, coming across different things to
well,
do? And
this is what I would say the game maybe doesn't take the best approach with open world, because once you once you get through the initial tutorial where you've gone to the school and then okay, it's time to go out and explore, the game puts all of those points of interest on your minimap. So yes, the game is go explore and do whatever you want, and you go west if you want, go east if you want, whatever. But I don't really feel like I'm exploring and finding these things myself, because they're on your map with big markers, and it's kind of got that issue of like I'm exploring but I'm not discovering. And I understand them wanting to kind of point you in directions, because this is the kind of game where like you don't really want to stumble into an area you're under leveled for, because you just get one shot, right? Like you don't have the ability in a game like Pokemon to really tackle areas you're not prepared for. And like you could say that about all kinds of games, but if you think of a game like Dark Souls, where it's like, yeah, I don't want to be like, going down to the graveyard at the very beginning because you get one shot by everything, but you technically do have the
well,
option to beat the game
it's
at
the
level
nature of
one.
an RPG, right? Like you literally don't have the math in a game like
Yeah,
Pokemon.
exactly. There's only so much player expression. It does come down to numbers to a degree. And so you don't want to I understand I appreciate or want the ability to kind of know what areas are intended for me at first. But I really think there are other ways to do it, such as having like, character dialogue, or, there being like landmarks in the distance, or things that kind of naturally like breadcrumb you to different places, versus like, okay, we've plonked all the gyms on the map, like please go to this one, and then please go, to the next one afterwards. And I think they were maybe like a little concerned to commit fully to that, like, you know, go off on your own kind of thing.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, so in in my first little experience with it, I do agree with what Kate says in terms of not really giving you enough direction and the fear of ending up in a location where the Pokemon are way too strong and they just kill you. But at the same time, today was actually the first time that I ran into a waypoint or like a sign that said, "Beware, dangerous Pokemon ahead." And of course, I ignored the sign because I was like, how dangerous could it be? And I ended up going across a bridge, and it was as simple as that. That was the divider, was a bridge.
Mhm.
Go across the bridge, and I was like, oh, look, new Pokemon. And it's not like Pokemon that you'd think, oh, wow, that's super late game, like it's a fully evolved something or other. I don't want to fight that. It was a little tiny thing that I've never seen before. And I was like, ooh, this looks neat. Let's try to catch it. And it was level 51, and I'm level 30. And I was like, oh, fuck. let's uh let's back out. Luckily, it didn't kill anything. I'm doing a Nuzlocke, by the way,
Mhm.
or a Muzzlock, because I thought that was kind of clever.
I
Um,
think it's clever.
so that was
It
it
is
was a
though.
scary scary point for me. But the one other issue that I have is that the map is not intuitive and user friendly at all.
It's
Like,
oh god, that MS Paint
yeah,
map they've got going on is not
it's
good.
bad. There's no like real topography to it. Like you
Mhm,
can't tell where you can and can't go.
Hmm.
Everything is just the same bland green and brown colors of dirt and grass.
mhm,
And there's just icons splotched all over it. Um,
So,
I do wish that maybe they had kind of color coded it a little bit, like, oh, this is an earlier game area, so it's kind of has a greener shade to it, and then as you get later, it turns darker red or whatever you're supposed to, or whatever it's
mm,
supposed to do. But luckily, so far, um, other than that one time, I haven't really run into a spot that was too hard. Um, and also, one interesting mechanic that they have that I do have an issue with is when you talk to Nurse Joy at the Pokemon centers. I don't know if you've done this yet, Kate, but there's an option where you can tell Nurse Joy,
should I go next?
I don't
Yeah,
know where to go.
lost and scared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she'll point out a destination for you based on your progress. But what I found out today is that it's not just based on your progress, it's also based on your location. So she'll pick something
Mhm.
that's near you that you may be in the
hmm.
right at the right level. So I got sent to another Titan Pokemon today that was well above my level, and I lost my Oinkologne, and I was a sad man.
Of course, in a Nuzlocke, that's
Right.
even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
that
really
is rough.
interesting. A lot of your guys' points about the open world really does remind me of Arceus, and I know Mike, you hadn't played it, but it's similar
I
in the
have
sense that
not.
you'll run into those what are they called in Arceus, like this powered up Pokemon, and they kind of come out of nowhere, and they don't necessarily have to be anything that's even like a dangerous Pokemon. You know, it could be like an Oddish or something, but it'll still destroy you if you're not ready for it. And the map, I think the way you're describing is very cut and paste from something like Arceus, like where you almost have to rely on just like your actual visuals of where your character is more so. You can't look at the map and be like, oh, I definitely can go there now, or I can't go there now. It's missing a little bit of that information. So that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Now, speaking of Arceus, I kind of had a suggestion, and since I haven't played that much, I wanted to run it by you, Mike, and see if you thought that this would be a good idea for it. Because I'm still unsure how much the open world really adds for me. I do like the idea of exploring. I don't know how great this world is to explore. The idea of open world Pokemon on paper is perfect. I don't know if the execution is perfect in this
Correct.
game in particular. But I had a thought because I was speaking with a friend and they were like, "Oh, I'm so glad like you can do any order because I don't care about the rival team. Like I have no interest in Team Star, so I'm just skipping that stuff and doing the other quests and whatever." But I had an idea because the other thing about this game is that it doesn't have badge scaling or anything like that, which was something people were kind of hoping it would. So the idea is that all the gyms you go to, and I'm assuming by extrapolation that matches up with the Team Star battles and the Titan Pokemon as well, although you can correct me if I'm wrong. They are a static level. So, like for example, like I fought the bug gym leader today. She had 3 Pokemon, and they were level like 14, 15, and 15, something like that. And it doesn't matter when I decide to go to that gym. That is always what that gym leader has.
Yeah.
And so that was great for me. It was a good level for where I was currently at. But I imagine if you don't go to that gym right away and you go off in a different direction and you come back with level like 25, 30, level 30 Pokemon, that gym sucks because you just one shot everything and, like it's not going to feel like good pacing. And the same problem as well, like you could go to a gym that's way too high level for you and you have to leave and come back. And so there isn't anything to guarantee that you're kind of on the right curve at any given time unless you go to the gyms in the order that they progress in difficulty, which is not guaranteed because, of course, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was kind of going to suggest because I know Arceus was sort of like an open zone game, not an open world game where you got access to a zone and then you kind of have to do things in there, beat it, and then you get access to another big zone, and each one was open with a lot of exploration. And I wondered if that might not be better for Scarlet and Violet as well. Like, if you kind of had a zone and there was maybe like a gym, maybe the gyms were the one thing you had to do in order, and so the star stuff would be like you could do the star or the titan or the gym in any order or just go and explore and catch some pokemon, but there was kind of a progression you have to follow. It's just very loose and open instead of being totally open. And I wonder if that would make more sense if there's no, scaling or other kind of mechanic to balance for that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they definitely did need something like that instead of just the static levels.
Hmm.
Because the first gym that I fought was also the bug gym.
Yeah. The
But
game
then
kind of does suggest you go there, but then
she
sort of stops suggesting
yeah,
after.
your rival, Nimona, I think her name is.
Nimona. She's
She
crazy, by the way.
she's whack.
She is
She's
terrifying.
fucking crazy.
She is
But yeah,
like you're in like a manipulative like relationship with this girl, I
yeah.
swear.
Yeah, but she does direct you to go towards the bug gym. The other guy that is interested in the Titan Pokemon directs you to go the other way, and then your hacker friend recommends that you go in a different direction, just kind of go wherever you need to go. And it's interesting that you say that too, because the third gym that I found was super easy. Like I had no issues whatsoever. I was leveled well enough completely. The first Titan Pokemon was a little bit tough. The second one was super easy. It seemed like I was again over leveled for that. But then I ran into this third Titan Pokemon that Nurse Joy told me to find, and they don't actually tell you what level the Pokemon is. It just says the name of the Titan, the giant Earth Titan or whatever it was that I was fighting. It didn't tell me that it was, oh, this Pokemon's level 40 or level 35 or level 30,
Yeah.
whatever it was. So
Or
I
even if,
really had no idea.
yeah, I could see too, like if it just had like a difficulty rating, like it doesn't tell you explicitly level like 37, but what if it was like a 1-star challenge or a 2-star
Yeah,
Well, so they
challenge,
do in Monster
something like
Hunter, right? And
yeah,
that works very well, I feel, in a game like that.
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
that?
And
Hmm.
then even the first two Team Star leaders that I fought, the first one was actually kind of tough. And then the second one was, it seemed like they were the same level as the first one.
Hmm.
Which means, yeah, you could have gone to that one first, but then it would have just been the opposite. The second one would have been the easy one. So I feel
Hmm.
like that kind of difficulty would make sense. Keep the levels the same, but I mean, wouldn't it wouldn't it make sense to say, okay, you've done this first. Now whatever the second gym is, their Pokemon are going to be this level, and this level.
Yeah.
And say if there was an evolution in there, then it would evolve. It would have different moves,
Yeah. Well,
and
it's like how
Hmm.
the anime works, right? Like didn't there was that one
We're
anime
touching
that
some uncharted territory now.
yeah, but wasn't it? It was like Origins, or there was that one anime that kind of like was supposed to follow like the first series of games, and they had an explanation that like whenever you got to a gym in the anime, then the gym leader would check how many badges you have, and they'd have a different team for like whatever like badge amount that you'd carried. So
that
they're like,
would
oh,
be
you got 3
amazing.
badges. Okay, perfect. This is the team that's for the like a 3 badge user, and then like when you got to 4 badges, okay, now they've got Charizard instead of Charmeleon, which they would have had for 3, and like
That
it's
would be
so like
amazing.
it's
Hmm.
so
And
simple and
it's
smart.
it's fun. It's funny that you say that because that reminds me a lot of Pokemon Silver, Gold, or Heart Gold, Soul Silver. When you finish Johto and you go back to Kanto, all of the
Mhm,
original gym leaders from the Kanto region are using a full team of 5 or 6 of fully
mhm,
evolved Pokemon of whatever type they've got. And it's almost like that is their actual team, but for the
mhm.
Pokemon Gym Challenge, they have a set team that they would utilize for new trainers or for 4 badge trainers or 6 badge or whatever it is. That would be an amazing concept, and I hope that they actually do
Yeah,
something like that in the
If
if
future.
you have
only
it like
I was gonna say, if only Game
It's only
Freak was
so much
given
they can
time to
do.
actually develop a game
Yeah,
properly instead of all the things with this one, everybody.
right?
Uh, I wanted to move us along just a little bit in the interest of time because I feel
Mhm.
like we still have a lot to cover here. And
Yeah.
one thing we haven't even touched on yet, which is like arguably the most important thing about Pokemon, is the battle system, Mike. We haven't talked about this yet. We've talked about all
Right.
these gym battles, the star battles, the open world battles, but are there different changes to the battle system? And what is terastallizing like? How do you like the new mechanic?
Okay, so the battle mechanics are exactly the same as you would have experienced in any other main series Pokemon game. There's no difference in the main battles, in the gym battles. Um, there is one difference. I don't want to spoil it for Kate,
Mm,
but I might.
interesting.
I might.
Go ahead, go
I
for
think
it.
you should.
You may have seen it.
I may have seen it.
The Team Star like horde battles or whatever it's called. They're kind of interesting. I don't know if you've seen this by playing with your friends, but you almost just get put into an open area and you're free roam You pick 3 of the Pokemon on your team, and you just kind of wander around, and then these people will just throw Pokemon at you. And then you just have to like send your Pokemon out. You tap the R button, and your Pokemon run out, and they just fight them in open combat and kill them.
Wow.
And you have to kill 30 of them in 10 minutes or something before you can fight the main leader, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how it's almost Dynasty Warrior-ish, but
I
not
had
really.
that in the trailer. I think there was like
Yeah,
a little bit of a hint of that in the trailer,
it's
and
it's kind of a nice change as opposed to just like here's the slew of trainers that you need to get through and just battle the same way over and over and over again before you get to the gym leader or the evil person that's in charge, whatever it is. So that's the one change in the mechanics. Terastallizing is interesting, to say the least. So you'll run into Pokemon in the overworld that have like a glowing aura, and they're special Pokemon. They are Pokemon that actually have a different Terra type than what they're originally supposed to have. And what the Terra type does is it actually changes the Pokemon into that type and gives moves of that type a boost.
so it's
So
kind of like Gigantamax in
no,
Sword and Shield, but like the boost is
a
kind of
little
like
bit,
Gigantamax,
a,
but
a
there's also
little.
like a type change element to it.
There's the type change element of it, but it doesn't change the mechanics enough to make it game breaking. That was the
Mm.
problem with Dynamax and Gigantamax,
Yeah,
is it was a game breaking mechanic because you could just do it anytime, power up your strongest guy, and you'd likely win.
that's
With
true.
this, it's not necessarily that. You don't get extra HP, you don't get extra stats. All you get is an extra boost to that type of move, like my fire starter it just makes the fire type moves of it stronger. But you'll see a couple of Pokemon, like you would have seen the first gym, Kate. And if you guys haven't done the first bug type gym, I'm sorry, I'm gonna spoil this for you. It's like 2 hours into the game. Come on. The gym leader has a Teddy Ursa, and
As their ace.
The Teddy Ursa terastallizes into a bug type, and it uses bug type moves. And it's interesting because it's not something that you would expect. And the next couple that I fought were also interesting, but I'm not going to spoil those ones for Kate because I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair.
So that seems interesting
I
to
think,
me. Sorry, Kate.
yeah.
I just wanted to say it
Oh,
seems interesting because I think it would make the game a lot more challenging if you don't know what type to be expecting when the terastallization, if that's a word, happens.
See, the problem is they terastallize to the gym type, though.
Oh,
yeah.
well, in a gym
What I
context, sure. I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
what I think is cool about it is I think that it's cool probably for like competitive stuff and online
yeah,
things. Like it's very neat in the sense of like I have a Mischievous who terastallizes to ice. So that's cool. I now have like a ghost mon who can be an ice type if I want. And I think that kind of like customization is really cool. The downside is that it's not really like, like a huge game changer by actually playing the game, right? Like it
yeah,
would be cool if the bug one like terastallized into like a water one at the end or something. So it's like, oh, you brought your fire type out to fight the bugs, but now I'm a water type to counter that. Or say if, maybe the star don't use a certain type so they can just have a wild card. Something like that might be cool. Like I don't see it being a huge mechanic thing in the game because Pokemon's just not that complicated to
yeah,
play through as like a casual run through of the story. But I do think it's a really cool mechanic overall, especially for the competitive scene. At least more so interesting than Gigantamax. That's just like
Hmm.
the stat button.
yeah.
So
There will be some things that you find, Kate, that you will see why they do it.
okay,
It's a little bit funky. They do an interesting thing. Just wait till you get to the second gym. Let me
okay,
know when you get to the grass type gym. Let me
okay,
know what you think about the gym leader's ace.
okay.
I'm
Sounds.
very, very
Ooh,
curious
now
to
I'm
see what your
intrigued.
thoughts are on that.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
very interested.
Mike, one last question for you just on the topic of battles. How do you like the transition to non-forced trainer encounters?
I mean, it's great. It's great. You don't get spotted from across the map. You can fight whoever you want. Uh, they do it in a way so you can tell which trainers are a little bit stronger and which ones you might want to fight or which ones you don't want to fight if you think you're a little bit underleveled. Um, but if you feel like you are overleveled, you don't have to fight anybody. You can just run around the world, pick up your items, and continue on your way. It makes it a lot easier, a lot more streamlined, but it does make the open world feel empty. That's the one big issue that I've got with the non-force trainer battles, is that emptiness.
Right, because technically you can run forever and just not interact with anybody if you don't deliberately do that.
Well, and
Exactly.
to add on to that as well is that because all the Pokemon are in the overworld and there's no like grassy areas you're forced to walk through, you can not only avoid all trainers, but you can avoid all Pokemon. So you can just kind of run through the world and interact with nothing. And I will say, one of my biggest complaints, actually, probably potentially my biggest complaint, even above all the technical stuff, which I'm sure we'll touch on briefly, is that I think the world just kind of feels lifeless. Like, you know, part of it's technical, right? Like Pokemon kind of pop in when there's not a huge draw distance. So, you know, sometimes an area will look like there's nothing there, and then you drive up on your motorcycle and you're like, oh, there's actually 3 Mareep. So that's exciting. There were 3 Mareep, but there just aren't really tons of like interesting land features. Like, you know, you think about games like, and this is going to be an unfair comparison because Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautiful games ever made. But you think about roaming around that world and you're constantly just sidetracked by like, oh, what's that field? Or like, oh, what's this like place I want to look at, or that building, or, you know, there's a bird and it's just, you know, taking me to this cliffside where there's something there. Whereas in this game, like, I understand it's totally a different kind of game, so it's unfair to compare it to something like Ghost. But at the same time, like, I like the novelty is almost like wearing off after a couple hours of like, you know, there's maybe one, I can see a Pokemon Center in the distance, so I guess I'll go there. But like there aren't really very many land features that seem interesting so far, and like a lot of the world is just like brown hill or like slightly green hill, and it's just not an interesting world to explore. Like if you took the Pokemon out and put anything other than Pokemon, it's not a pleasant world to be in. And Pokemon for me is like, it's such a charming, wholesome world. Like, you know, whenever you get asked that question, what fictional universe would you live in? It's Pokemon. It's Pokemon every time. But if Pokemon was just barren fields, I don't know if it's Pokemon anymore.
What I was going to say, you compared it to Ghost of Tsushima, which, and you said it's probably an unfair comparison. What I would compare it to, which is, I think it's a fair comparison, is I'm going back to 2018 with Breath of the Wild. Another Nintendo game, another game that's running on the exact same hardware as this game, but it's
out
4
like,
years. It's
4
4 years older.
Yeah.
And it actually has a vibrant landscape. There's stuff to do in the world. The monsters interact with you, you interact with them, and it's not like this. I would quantify the Pokemon world as a blandscape, because
That's
it
a
is
great
just
term.
it is empty. It is empty. It is brown. It is green. There's spots of water. Like the ocean lines that you see are kind of nice looking, and the cities are all right, but the open world itself is it's dull. Just unfortunately dull.
Well, and that's one thing I was really having my hopes up for in this game a little bit more than I normally would have, and just because, I mean, playing Arceus, I really enjoyed that game for what it was earlier in the year. But there's no question, like you said, Kate, you made the perfect point. Like the reason I wanted to explore that world in Arceus was not the world; it was to see where different areas on the map would give me different Pokemon that I want to find. The environment itself wasn't that compelling, aside from, like, you know, there was a couple cool places to visit, but by and large, it's what you're describing. And so the fact that unfortunately they weren't able to add more of that to the world, and I know there's probably going to be some interesting locations here and there and like towards the end and whatnot, hopefully, but you're right. Like, and I'm even watching on the video right now, like this whole time we've been talking, and you're right, it's more of the same. Like there's a lot of just grass, or you're on a beach, you know, and there's just not a lot happening in comparison to other things. And I mean, we can get a little bit into the technical stuff, and if we want to move into that way now. And I just think this is a classic example of, like, you know, number one, like you said, Mike, the Switch is definitely a dated piece of hardware. But I mean, in my opinion, this is less about the Switch and more about just Game Freak not having the time to develop because of their insane cycle. And looking at games like Splatoon 3 came out on the Switch. It's one of the best looking games this entire year, and it's on the Switch. Xenoblade 3 came out. It's got beautiful environments. Like, that was a game last year. It's not that the Switch can't do it. It obviously can't do it like a PS5 or like a top-end PC. But studios that know how to get get what they can out of the hardware, and they're given time to do it, they can pull it off. Whereas Game Freak, I just think, is stretched so thin. Like, they didn't even have full development on the Diamond Pearl remake. That was given to another different studio. But I mean, they've made 2 open world games this year with Arceus and Violet Scarlet, and obviously they haven't even really made one that would be considered up to passable standards technically. If it wasn't Pokemon, it would be bashed. Like, imagine God of War coming out that was unpolished to this standard. Like, it would be raked over the coals for it. Like, Pokemon is the
Yeah.
only one that gets away with it. And I think I would be interested to hear your guys' opinion. I just been picking up different pieces here and there, and I think it's just like the franchise itself is just so big. They don't want to delay it because the games sell like 10 million in 3 days, and beyond that, it's like it can't be delayed because it has to line up with the release of the anime and has to line up with the release of the new trading cards. And they make so much money off all those different things coming out at the same time and building the same cross media brand. Like, I just don't know what the solution is outside of like bring a second studio in to work on games at the same time in parallel, like they do with Call of Duty, and I don't know if they're willing to do that. But aside from that, like, I feel like this is just going to keep happening, and it's so unfortunate because the ideas here are largely good. But what do you guys think?
I just want to clarify, by the way, I
Sure.
wasn't pooping on the Switch
No.
as the
Mhm.
hardware.
No.
What I was saying is that Breath of the Wild came out on the Switch 4
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago, and it was able to create that vibrant world. So it's
And
not
no,
the
you're
hardware
totally right.
problem.
I mean,
Mhm.
It's not
to
the
a certain
hardware problem.
extent, right? I mean, if it was more powerful, would it be better? Sure, but it's all just
Yeah.
compounding, I think, into this impossible situation where it's like we're back to the same discussion where we were last
Yeah,
time. What's gonna happen?
Exactly.
I was talking with a friend about this exact thing, and it's the fact that the Pokemon Company, they are able to rely on selling 10 million copies in 3 days, regardless of what the game looks like.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They just have so much faith in their fan base that they're cutting corners. They're not putting in the amount of money that they need to because they're going to make the profit anyways. And it's a sad fact, but until they actually are willing to sacrifice a little bit of that profit margin, they're going to continue to release subpar quality games.
And we've seen this. This is not new for Scarlet
No.
and Violet, right? Like, we all remember Dexit and Treegate from Sword and Shield, right? And people were complaining, like X and Y was complaining. Like, we've been complaining since the Pokemon games turned 3D, basically, right?
Dexit and
But
Tree.
I would say
Exit.
it's Dexit. And I would say with each one that's been released, the complaints have only gone up. Like, like this is the peak of complaints. But like you said, like, you brought up God of War. There's a fun statistic. God of War is the best selling PlayStation exclusive game at half the amount of copies that Scarlet and Violet have sold. Best PlayStation exclusive. Like, think of how much like clout goes behind that kind of a title, and it's half of Pokemon. It's insane. Like,
That's
Well,
Pokemon
Pokemon's
wild.
the number
is
one selling multimedia franchise on the planet. Like, it's
It
unbeatable.
is. It is
No
literally
question.
too large to fail at this point. The
Yeah.
only way that changes get made is if enough people boycott it and people vote with their wallets. But the thing is like that is never going to happen. That is impossible at this point because it doesn't matter. Like, Pokemon it is like too humongous. But and it's a shame because I don't doubt that like the Game Freak devs are doing everything they can, and so many of them are passionate. Like, there's so many little details in this game where like, when you get your first gym badge and you take that like stupid selfie with the gym trainers, there's so many cute little details. Like, you
Yeah.
can see passion in this game, but you can also see how ridiculously rushed out it was, and how I think 2 years this game had in development time, which from the research I did is the shortest amount of development time a 3D Pokemon game has ever had, while
Wow.
simultaneously being the most ambitious because it's all of a sudden open world and changing up the formula. Like, you need more than 2 years, and Game Freak is a pretty small team at like
Yeah.
170 employees or something like that, which is small. So it's just like they're fighting an unwinnable battle. And oh my god, is it so unfortunate because Pokemon fans are the most intense fans in the world. Like, they deserve a 10 out of 10 like smash hit game, and they're getting like passable at best, but it's Pokemon.
Yeah, Game Freak seems to be they do the little things really well. Like when
Hmm.
you're in the battle, the frame rate's good. It's a little bit slow, like the actual transition from Pokemon to Pokemon doing the attacks, but the move animations, the Pokemons themselves, their animations are great. Everything looks crisp, it looks clean. The little towns, the little like the characters that they create, the gym leaders and their unique designs and whatever are always terrific. But
Hmm.
when you look at the big picture, you look at the overworld game, you look at the texture problems, you look at the frame rate issues of people walking around. The minute you get into a big city, it drops to like 20 frames per second. People are walking around like freaking robots. It's just it's not excusable.
and
It's just poor.
and so many other things now, like you cannot go inside a single building in any of the towns
Thank
What?
you.
unless, yeah, you can't, there's no buildings in the towns that you can go into. You just pass by like 6 buildings in a row and like you can't go in them. Stores are menus now. You don't go inside stores. It just pops up a
That
menu
might be better. That might be better.
of what you want to buy.
That's a time saver.
Um, that is a time saver, but still, it's like it's not because it's for
Well, it's not. It's bad
convenience,
for world
right?
building. It's not for convenience. It's for like
Yeah,
time saving.
it's
Yeah,
it's because they didn't have to
dev
they didn't
time
have to
saving.
make a building, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, like there's no like caves to go into. There's no trick house from Gen 3. There's no like hideout to go into where you have to do spinny floor puzzles or there's teleporter things. Like
Hmm.
there's just none of that kind of stuff at
And that's been
all. And it
missing
gets
really since like
so,
Shield, Sword and Shield. I feel
Yeah.
like for the most part.
yeah,
For the most
yeah,
part, it seems to me like you
I
said,
think
Game
so.
Freak's team is they're just so small, and it seems like they've probably had the same size team for like 2 decades, and they've yet to receive any extra funding, but they're expected to
Yeah,
deliver these bigger projects.
it seems like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it's like what do we prioritize to put in the game?
Hmm.
And like it's you can't win that battle. You just have to do as much as you can. And there's even some strange things too. Like there's no set mode anymore.
I
You
heard you also
can't
can't turn off battle animations.
I didn't
you
know
ca-
that.
there's no
I
set
didn't know
mode.
either of that.
There's
Wow,
no
I guess
set
I
mode,
haven't
and you
explored the menu.
can't turn off battle animations for
Because
seemingly
I
no
always
reason.
do
Like
that. I always turn them off because it
those
takes so long.
Yeah, just some quality of life stuff that you expect to be there is not there, and I wonder maybe if we had an extra year, they would be in the game, but they just were things that were cut because we really need Nemona's hair to stop clipping out and covering your screen. Which yeah, fun story. I mean, like I would much rather have ridiculous visual bugs like that, but have like the frame rate stay steady. I think that's more important. But some of the visual bugs are hilarious. Like when I first got my motorcycle to ride on it, and they were telling me like, "Okay, get on, like you can ride it." Like you're in a cutscene, and Nemona's talking to you, and her hair started like it kind of started getting bigger and bigger, and as the scene went on, it just became like massive to the point where it was like covering half the screen, so it was just black. So they're like, "Okay, get on your like." Maridon or whatever. So you get, I guess he appeared, but I couldn't see him because he was behind the black hair.
Oh my
So like,
goodness. This
okay,
is
get
why you
on.
need to stream.
So
Catch
get
that
on.
shit on video.
So I got on, and you can see like the tiniest little like back of my neck just where I happened to partially clip out. And they're like, "All right, take him for a ride." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, if you're sure." So like stuff like that happens. It's like that stuff's funny. Like yeah, sure it shouldn't happen, but like I honestly think it sometimes makes the game better because it's so funny. And like I don't care about that kind of stuff. But it's just the fact of like, yeah, you walk in a town and your frame rate just tanks. And
Yeah.
it's like, God, sometimes a Pokemon will even use an animation as like Fury or like a Fury swipes that hits 3 times, but it like is starts to lag during it, so you have to watch it go 3 times painfully slowly. It's stuff like that that is the problem.
Hmm. Mike, have you had any really bad game breaking glitches or anything like that, or have you had a pretty?
Nothing game breaking. I've heard a couple of interesting glitches where Pokemon appear that are just eyeballs. Like a Pokemon will fly by, but it's not a Pokemon. It's just eyeballs flying through the area.
It's
So
like
funny.
I've
Cyberpunk or
been
something.
Yeah, I've been in a
Yeah.
battle. I've been in a battle where there was no Pokemon around. I couldn't see anything, but all I could see was the shadow of a Slowpoke on the ground. but there was no
This
Pokemon
little
there.
slowpoke.
That's the
And then
type of
after the
expert you are, Mike.
battle,
You can identify it's a
yeah.
slowpoke with just the
Oh,
shadow.
absolutely. And then after the battle, the Slowpoke rendered in very, very slowly and blocky. Um, I've fallen infinitely on my bike, just jumping onto like a vending machine or something, and it's like it's not a big enough platform, so you're just doing a nosedive into the platform, and then just like slow keeps going and going and going until it
Mm.
blacks out and sends you back to where you were before. I've had that happen a few times. Nothing like weird hair glitches or anything like that, but yeah, just and just the textural glitches, like the
Mhm.
mountains blending and warping as you go through, as you like
Mhm.
ride towards them or whatever. But I
Yeah.
mean, that stuff is what it is. You get that with big games. All we want is a stable frame rate and a luscious world. It's just
Mhm.
not. It's not there. So
Fair enough, but I think that might lead us into the last thing I wanted to really talk to you guys about, which is where do you I don't know if I want to make it where do you hope Pokemon goes from here or where do you think it would, but do you think like is this the type of thing like do you see them doing more of this and honing it or is this going to be like, "Oh, no, this didn't work. People didn't like it." Like we're going back to the traditional format. Like what do you guys see for this going forward? Because to me this is the open world game that we all wanted like Sword and Shield to be when that was announced, and it still isn't there. But I just don't know, like is this the standard now going forward which they're going to iterate on? I hope it is, because personally I would love to see them take another shot at this and like find a way to do this, some fix some of these problems, because this sounds like it has so much potential. Again, I feel like I that's just my overall sentiment of like listening to you guys and listening to everything else I've heard.
go ahead, Kate.
I mean, that's so hard to predict. My assumption is that it will stay open world. I think once you break that barrier, they're not going to go backwards.
Mm.
And especially like, with how well this is sold. Um, but I honestly don't know if it will be done better in the future than it is now. I'd like to hope so, but I mean, everyone said Arceus was, with the issues that had technically, like, oh well, it's just the demo, it's just the playground to test it works out for the next mainline game. It's like this one comes out, they're like, oh well, I mean, it's the first one, you can't be too harsh on it,
Mm-hmm.
but like, there's an excuse every time, right? And you know, like we said earlier, unless they make some changes and give a longer development cycle, you're naive to expect that the quality will increase.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel like they're going to continue doing remakes. And I feel
Hmm.
like they'll continue to do remakes in whatever format those games were in. So they'll eventually do black and white, and they'll create another 2.5D kind of 3D looking game, but with the
Hmm.
same linear style and whatever that they did with that. I feel like for the next main series title, it'll be more open world. I just hope that they take some feedback from the fans for once about the quality issues. They put in the time, they put in the effort, they don't rush the development of this game. Even if it means not announcing a thing until the game is actually on its feet and it's actually looking decent, that would be beneficial. And the other thing, put this game or these games that do not work on PC, let the fan base have access so they can modify these games. If
Hmm.
fans had access to this game, this entire game, the texture modifications, the quality of life modifications, the things that we have seen game communities do to broken games or games that have just slight issues is phenomenal. These people, there are some talented people out there. Let them have access to the files.
That's a really good point. I wish we lived in a world where that would be the case. I mean, people are going to get these files regardless, but man, I would be very surprised if Nintendo ever let
I
that
would
happen.
love it. I would
Sadly,
absolutely love it
but
if the fans could modify this game.
it would be really interesting to see that. I feel like that is truly the only way that we would get what I think people really want from this, is if that was able to happen without Nintendo shutting it down. And I mean, this podcast might get copyright claim because I have the word Pokemon in the title. So like that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have gameplay. You've
That's
got
right. We have
gameplay in it
gameplay.
too.
Thank God, no sound.
I mean,
But
my
yeah,
my streams haven't got shut down. That's because there's like 3 people watching them, and I don't
well,
think any of them are Nintendo devs.
yeah,
So
maybe not. But okay, guys. Any last feelings on Pokemon? You really have to get out there right now. Let the world know.
Yeah, I've got
Okay.
two things. I want to shout them out for a quality of life feature I really like of having the party bot in your box on the go.
Yep.
I think that's awesome. Whenever you catch a Pokemon, it asks you, would you like to put it in your party? You can say yes and choose who you want to swap it out with, or you can say no and they go to the box. And at any time, you can do your box just in a menu. That is so incredibly nice. But I want to call out an issue I personally have in please let me change my outfit. I think,
I heard you
you
can only
know,
wear a
like
school uniform.
you can only wear a
Yes.
school uniform. You can buy gloves.
Accessories.
You can buy gloves, socks, hat, backpack, of which I have done. I look fantastic. But I don't like the school uniform I'm wearing. And I'd like to be able to buy some new pants or a new shirt. And I just think you've put so much good customization in, 30% of my body. I'd like it on the other 70% of my body. Please, I hate my stupid baggy shorts.
See, now here's what you don't realize.
Switch to winter. Switch to the winter outfit.
I know you can. The
Yes. Go
jacket's
winter.
cool.
Yeah.
But I have really nice socks now is the problem because I spent all my
Fair.
money on nice socks. So if I wear the pants, I can't see them and just,
That's fair.
Here's the thing, though. If they had
Just buy a
taken time,
shirt.
if they'd used that time to give you those shirts, you would have no palm trees in this game. They wouldn't. It's one or the other. They had to pick.
Yeah.
That's true. Just saying, when you put a patch out for the game, because obviously they're working on the patch that will fix
Clothing
everything.
patch.
Give us a clothing. Give us a $25 clothing DLC, please.
Oh no! Oh,
Don't speak that into existence.
No.
Yeah.
So for me, the couple of things that I want to say, the music is banging. The music is really, really good.
A lot of Toby
They
Fox,
kind of
I've
they
heard.
they modified a little bit of the Sword and Shield stuff. You get a little bit of that big stadium atmosphere when you're in the gym battle, which I like. Team Star has its own unique soundtrack when you're in the boss battles. The Titans have their own unique soundtrack too, and just the overworld music is peaceful. It's nice to listen to. Two, the starter Pokemon are awesome. They are really cool. I haven't looked at the finisher. They're the last fire guy, the final evolution, but the water one and the grass one, I really, really like the designs.
Really?
I do. I really do. They're
Hmm.
better than Sword and Shield.
Controversial.
Very interesting.
Better than Sword
Controversial.
and Shield for
I will
sure.
say the fire one is by far the best one. I picked fire.
Okay.
Coco's my boy.
Yeah.
I love him all the way through. The other two, I am really not a fan of at all.
Really interesting.
Which is
You know,
interesting. I think overall, this might be the first gen where I'm not as keen on most of the Pokemon.
yeah.
That's the first time I can ever say that. I like a lot of the first forms of them, and then I don't like what they evolve into. And
I can
it's
agree.
a
I can agree
weird
with that.
problem to have.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where we should end
agree
it
with
off
that.
then, is talking about our favorite Pokemon from this game, because I'm sure there must be some really cool ones. And Mike, you look like you have something to say.
I do, but I want Kate to go first.
Okay. I think they've done a crack up job on all of the new forms of older Pokemon. Like basically all of them in this game look amazing. I would say I haven't seen it in game yet, but I saw Annihilate just on the internet, and I think it's got to be one of the best Pokemon designs I've ever seen. It's basically like evil anime primate.
Nice.
It's like the anime hair. And I love that. I love Fuecoco. I think he's great. I was super excited for Gimmighoul because I was like a mimic Pokemon. Holy shit! I can't believe we haven't done this. And then it evolves into the cheese string guy. And and now I can't have one on my team just knowing that that's the case.
Fair.
Oh my god, it is a cheese string.
Which one was your favorite though?
Annihilate.
Oh, Annihilate. Okay. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole Pokedex.
Okay.
I went in completely blind, aside from the starters, Lechonk, and maybe a couple of little other ones here and there.
Lechonk.
We all love Lechonk. Rest in peace, Oinklone. It's okay. But my favorite. So, do you remember the last time that we were on stream and we were on podcast, sorry, and we were talking about was it the Game Awards? It was something to do with the games, and there was the girl that kept coming out on stage talking about the Whooper alert, where
Oh
there
my
was a big
God, yes.
Whooper outbreak
Yeah,
on
that's right.
frickin'
It's
in
because
Pokemon Go.
it was something to do
It
with the
was the Game
Elden Ring
Awards.
lead up.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Elden Ring lead up, and it was like for some reason there was like we thought we were getting Elden Ring news, and there was like a Whooper alert or
It was
something.
a
Came on-
Whooper, yeah. Whooper
Yeah.
Swarm
So
or something.
they've come
Yeah.
out with a new Whooper.
I do
It
like
is
the Whooper.
it is a ground and poison type Whooper, and it
Mhm.
evolves. Its evolved form, Clodsire, is the cutest little man's. He has stolen my heart. I love him so much. I love him so
That
much.
is
He is
so
just
exciting.
incredible. Look at a picture of him and tell
Mhm.
me that you don't like that little face.
I have the Whooper on my team, and I had a few things spoiled, but not everything. And I don't know what the evolution looks like.
Oh my
Got him
goodness,
on
you
my
need to
team,
see.
and honestly, that is my like one of my biggest motivations for playing this game right now. Is I want to see what happens to this
He
Whooper.
evolves
because
soon.
I love him too.
He evolves really soon. So he is my absolute favorite thing in this gen.
Mhm.
Amazing. I've been looking through the Pokedex myself, and I want to tell you guys who my favorite is. But before I do, I just wanted to take some time to include some of our listeners that wrote in with their favorite Pokemon from this gen, because it's always fun to include some messages we get from our followers. So I just wanted to say we had Justin A write in and says Tinkatink, and that evolution line was his favorite. And I agree with that. I was looking through this thing. Tinkatink is awesome, and Tinkatonk or whatever, that one with the big hammer at the end, that's a cool Pokemon. I like that guy.
I have a Tinkatuff right now.
Okay. That's the middle one? Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we also had Mirandum says that not sure about her favorite, but Kilowattrel has been her MVP. And I don't know what that is.
Interesting.
So apparently it's good.
It's a bird.
Okay. I'm guessing it's
Yeah,
electric.
we had a couple more as well. A couple my friends wrote in, and so it's funny. Some of these I don't actually know what they look like. But a friend of mine, Nathan, he wrote in. He said Flittle/Espartha.
Oh,
I
I
have
just
a
looked. I
Flittle.
like that one. Yeah.
I have
And
Flittle. But I don't know what
okay,
Espartha
cool.
is
You should
yet.
evolve
I
it,
think
Mike.
I saw
Yeah.
it today. I think I
So
saw it today.
he's the big in those ones, and of course Lechonk is going to be a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Zane, who really likes Scovillian,
I have a
Scovillian.
Scovillian. Yes.
which I
I'm not
believe is the
using it.
pepper one, right? It's
Yeah.
the and I think part of
He's
why he likes
Oh,
it
it's the
is the
peppers.
typing.
the
It's a
typing is
fire
cool.
grass, which I
Yeah.
think is very unique.
It's interesting. I don't know how I feel about the design of it,
Mm-hmm.
but the typing is really cool.
You know what I
Yeah.
say about
So
these? Oh,
mhm.
sorry. Did you have more?
No, we
Oh.
had one more. Just Jazz wrote in as well, and he, obviously being a Violet fan himself, wrote in
Cerulege, of
Cerulege,
course.
obviously the
Of
purple version
course.
of the Mega Man Pokemon.
Freaking
It
Jazz.
would be a Jazz
The
pick.
reason to buy Violet, yeah.
Anyways, thank you all for writing in, letting us know that. Again, you can write in if you'd like to be in touch with us at Proton, or what is it? CloudControlPod at proton.me. We're still learning this, everybody. I just want to point out, like my favorite here is Mouse. What's it called? Mouse.
Oh, is it the two mice?
The
that are
two
just,
mice.
Like, holding hands?
Yeah. Mouse
He
hold.
likes
It's so
that
cool.
one
So
the
there's a mouse, right? I've noticed a lot of these new Pokemon have amazing naming. Like that the pepper one we were just talking about is named after like the hot peppers.
Yeah.
And then this one, mouse, it starts as tandem mouse, like a tandem, two mice standing next to each other. They're cute as
Yeah.
fuck. And then the second one, mouse hold, it's like they have a kid mouse who comes with them and they all attack together. That's so
Yeah.
cute.
That's
Like a
that's
household.
cute.
It's
That's
perfect.
cute.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you guys though. I think overall this gen might not be my favorite, but it's also hard to say because I just feel like, and this is a whole nother topic, but these like 3D models just don't look as good as the old pixel style art.
They're just saturated. The colors don't look, they don't pop as much as
Yeah.
the
And
2D
I
sprites.
find they're very like round. There's not tons of
Mhm.
like texture on a lot of them. It's a lot of circles and like soft shapes.
Yeah.
And they're getting a little like anime. I
You know,
would
a lot of these
say.
are looking really Digimon-y too. Like those night ones and all that, they look pretty Digimon to me. But shout out to Orthworm as well. I like that guy.
No. Orthworm can go away.
You can go-
It's cute. It's cute. Don't get me wrong. That's a Mario enemy.
It kind of looks like one, honestly.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it the rock, the salt mushroom or something?
No,
Is it
No,
that
he's
one?
just
it's
a
like
big
a worm.
worm.
It's a worm. It's like literally an
I haven't
earthworm,
seen
but
them
it's an
yet.
orthworm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen him yet.
There we go. Well, that was Pokemon, everybody. That's our, well, not our review, but it's our good impressions of Violet and Scarlet. And that was great, everybody. That was great. But now, I'm very excited to hopefully best Mike at whatever this quiz is going to end up being. So, Kate, the floor is yours. And Mike, good luck.
Wonderful.
I got this.
Well, I'm so glad I have 2 contestants today because as fun as a quiz is to give to one person, it's way more fun when it is a competition. So I don't know if you guys want to, gentleman's handshake on some kind of prize,
Ooh.
or
That's a
some kind
gentleman's
of...
backhand there, Mike. That's wrong.
Wow, all right. Mike's confident, so James, you
Yeah.
better take him down at this point.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, how about the winner of this quiz gets to slap the other one across the face when we see each other?
No. No. If I win, I get to borrow Arceus from you. If you win, you can borrow Violet from me.
That sounds fantastic.
Aw, I love that because like there's still the shit talking and like the competitive nature, but you totally let the other person borrow regardless. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, we've already
But I'm
planned
gonna
to
get
borrow.
it. I'm gonna get it anyways.
Exactly. There's bragging rights on the line. So anyway,
Yeah.
this quiz is a 3-section quiz. I want you guys to keep track of your own points, and of
Oh
course,
my
if you're playing
goodness.
along at home, please keep track of your points as well. And right in, if you beat either of these guys, you can slap them across the face next
Oh
time you
my
see
God.
them.
100%.
Come to my stream.
100%.
Come to my stream.
I'll just
to
give you my
verbally-
address.
Yeah, come to my stream and verbally slap me across the face with
That's
your
right.
word.
That's right.
I'd
And if
love
you don't
that.
live in the greater Vancouver area, just send it in the mail. It'll be fine.
Yes.
I would love to see what that
Backhand
looks
in the
like.
mail.
Okay.
So, section 1, we all know that one of the most disturbing and delightful things of getting a new Pokemon game is, of course, the absolutely whack Pokedex entries that come along with it. Sometimes they're terrifying, sometimes they're hilarious, sometimes they're literally world-breaking. And we have 5 entries here from Scarlet and Violet that I will be sharing with you, and it is
Oh,
your
boy.
job to identify which Pokemon it
Oh, boy.
belongs to.
Oh shit!
Now-
I haven't boned. I haven't boned up. I
I
need to get
will
my
say
Google out. No, I'm just kidding.
there is a clarification I will make. These are Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, obviously, but they are not any new Pokemon because I know, James, that would put you at
thank
an
you so
unfair
much.
disadvantage. So they are Pokemon that have existed previous this generation but are within the game.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So and also a point will be awarded if you guess any Pokemon within the line, because I think like you were so close, and really what's the difference between like, Abracadabra
That's
or
fair.
Alakazam? It's
True,
it's the
okay.
same thing. Without further ado, your first entry. In total darkness, when nothing is visible, it lurks, silently stalking its next victim.
Oh, boy. Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Everyone, this
I
is
know
a
what
kid's
that is.
game.
Easy.
That's it. That's
That's it.
all is in the
So-
entry.
I think I'll give you guys a second to think about it. You guys
already
will
written
both
my answer
confirm
down.
you have an answer, and then I'll ask you in order, but I think we'll confirm you guys have an answer first, so you don't give it away. But yeah.
I can't believe that is an entire Pokemon entry.
Yep. Welcome to Pokemon.
Holy smokes, James! I'll let you go first.
You got something?
And
You
if-
ready?
I've got one thought
Okay.
up, and I won't
Okay.
change it.
All right.
Okay.
No, this is a gentleman's agreement. We're not cheaters here. I'm going to say it's
Yeah.
Driftblim.
And I'm gonna say Gengar.
All right. Drifbloom is a fantastic guess because I believe he has Pokedex entries in the past about carrying off children.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
But this is in fact Haunter,
Ugh.
which means Mike scores a point for Gengar.
Yep.
Don't worry though, there's 4 more to go. You can come back.
Just the lurking. I don't feel like
lurking.
Drifloon
No, it's like
lurks in the
drifting and
darkness.
lurking,
He just like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
flitters in the
But
dark.
there's a feeling of hiding, right? Like Haunter's
Yeah.
like behind you, whereas Drifloon maybe would, he's just floating. Anyway, good logic. Question 2. This Pokemon covers itself in mud that it has regurgitated. The mud won't dry out even if it's exposed to the sun for a long time.
Oh, God. That's
It's
pretty
not
gross.
unpleasant. It's so gross.
That's really gross.
really gross.
What regurgitates mud? The only thing I can think of that's covered in mud is Wooper.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right, James,
I was
what do
gonna
you
go
got?
Dawn fan.
Ooh, no points apiece. This is Mudbray, of course. The
Mudbray.
little
That
mud
makes so
horse
much sense.
Pokemon.
I didn't know Mudbray was in this game, to be honest with you.
Does it it
Mhm.
regurgitates mud?
Apparently it does. Isn't that disgusting?
Gross. That's kind of funky.
Yeah, so we've had creepy, we've had gross. This one is kind of a gross, funny combo.
This
It's
one's
entry
kind of
number
gross
3.
and creepy.
Kind of gross and creepy and funny. So number 3, it's so stinky. Its body contains toxic elements, and any plant will wilt when it passes by.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness.
I love this one so much because it starts out so silly, like, oh, it's stinky, and then it's like literally kills plant
It's
life.
killing things.
Oh, I've got it.
Yep.
I've got
I
it.
mean,
I've
So
got it.
stinky though.
Am I first? I'm first. Okay.
go ahead.
It's
Are you ready,
Goodra.
Mike?
It's Goodra.
Oh, Goodra.
Ooh, I was gonna go with Stunky.
Ooh, both very good guesses, but it's simply just muck.
Oh, it's just muck.
Muck just smells.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
yeah.
It's just a stinky pile of muck.
Stinky pile of muck.
Ugh,
All right, hold on.
So
This
gross, man.
this I should have prefaced this is not an easy quiz. It is
Well,
meant to be fun.
obviously, no,
It's
those
meant to
are.
be fun. It is
No,
not meant to
this is
be a
fun.
quiz where you score a lot of points. But question 4 comes up, and this is an underpowered, pathetic Pokemon. It may jump high on rare occasions, but never more than 7 feet.
Magikarp.
Oh. Wow, that was fast. I didn't even think of a Pokemon yet. That's got to be it, though,
Yeah.
right? It's got to be Magikarp.
It is indeed Magikarp. What a horrible Pokedex entry.
Well,
Just
it's-
get
No, it's
fucked,
awesome.
Magikarp.
It's pathetic. He's just sad. Sad man.
Just sad. It's just a sad time. Now here's a fun question: are Magikarp and Pikachu the 2 Pokemon that have been in every generation?
Is that a real question, or is that part of the quiz?
Yeah,
No, that's-
this is. I mean, it's a bonus point maybe.
I feel
but
like
now that I
it's
think
got to
about it,
be, right? Pikachu's been in everyone.
Pikachu's in everyone.
Has
Is
Magikarp been in everyone?
everyone?
I don't think Magikarp was in X and
Yeah.
Y.
Yeah, Magikarp was in
Was
X
it?
and
It
Y.
was.
Yeah. I think Magikarp's been in every
Yeah,
game.
I think Magikarp is almost as much as like a staple as Pikachu.
Is Pikachu in 3rd gen at all? Can't think of where Pikachu would be in 3rd gen. Unless it's in
Maybe
the
it wasn't.
forest,
I
the
don't
first
know.
forest at some point.
Maybe not.
Who knows?
Hmm.
Well,
Anyway,
Interesting.
that's
it's
not an
not
official
in-
question.
It's
Just
not in black and
side
white.
thought.
Neither of them are in black and white because it's all
Huh.
Gen 5 Pokemon.
But that makes them tied then, as still
Yeah,
the 2 most
true.
popular
Fair.
Pokemon.
Glad we got to
Anyway,
the bottom of
moving
that
on.
one.
Moving on, for my favorite Pokedex entry in this game, it unleashes psychic energy and shows opponents dreams of the universe's end. These dreams appear ethereal and beautiful.
I got it.
What the
I know who it is. I got it.
Do you?
Alright,
It's
alright.
Miss Magius.
Ooh,
good
very
choice.
interesting,
I'm gonna
very
say our good old chocolate-covered anteater pal with the twiddly fingers, Drowsy.
Ooh, Drowsy is a very good call. Probably would have been my guess because he's dream related, but it's actually, you guys had to go a hell of a lot more emo. It's Gothitelle.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Very interesting.
Wonderful. All right, so that's the end of section 1. Mike is up a single point, and James is doing his best Canada at the World Cup impression of never having scored a point.
Oh no, James
Wow,
has
that's
a
so
point. He's
depressing.
got.
Well,
That's
I
true,
mean,
you got
not one.
Magikarp.
but
That's
what
right,
I mean,
that's
do you want to
right.
give that to me though? Because I was the second guess.
That's fine. You can take it.
What do you think? Would you have guessed Magikarp?
It would have been in the conversation. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
pretty. I don't
Yeah,
know. I can't say I
that's
for
fair.
sure would have gotten it because I can't go back and
I'll
That's
wait.
okay.
I'll wait next time. Put it that
Okay.
way. To avoid
It's a
confusion.
2-1. It's a
Okay.
2-1, we'll call it. We're moving on to section 2, which is the height section. So, as we all know,
Oh my
the
goodness.
Pokemon world is full of horrors. Beedrill is 3'3". So just let that sink in for a
That's
second.
terrifying.
That's how tall the fucking Twin Needle Bee Pokemon is. So Pokemon heights are outrageous. Now, I personally am 5'2", but Pokemon doesn't believe that height really exists. Their height chart takes a break at 4'11" and then restarts at 5'3".
Oh
So,
boy.
in the spirit of this question, let's pretend I'm wearing big shoes and that I'm 5'3". Which of the following Pokemon is not the same height as me? Is it A, Slowbro, B, Noctowl, C. Electabuzz, or D. Machamp?
Oh my god.
3 of these Pokemon are 5-3. One of them is not. You must,
All right.
when you're both ready, select.
Okay, I got mine. I think I know it.
Are we gonna go? Are we gonna do a 3, 2, 1?
No. Just go ahead. I won't change it.
Okay.
Okay. I actually think it's Slowbro A.
A Slowbro.
I'm
James?
going Machamp. I feel like that's a bit of a
Well,
red herring, but I think it's Machamp.
I can tell you that neither of you are correct.
Good. As long as I knew that Machamp was actually shorter. Machamp is a short king, and we
Is
love
he?
it.
Oh my
Machamp is
god.
Yeah.
5'3".
He's
I
5'3".
Hell
imagine
yeah, Machamp.
I am the same height and build as a Machamp.
Oh,
For those of you
really?
listening at home, that's correct.
Can you edit some like weird muscles and an extra arm?
Just give me the extra arms, yeah.
Get a green screen, Kate. We can do it.
The correct answer is Electabuzz, who ranks in only at 3'7". He's not that tall.
He's a shrimp.
He's
I didn't know that.
3'7", Electabuzz. Yeah.
Huh, good to know.
So, isn't that crazy? All right, moving on. Mike, you have told me you are 5'6". However,
Correct.
we're so close, but again, Pokemon does not believe that that is a real height that you can
Oh
be.
boy.
So you're now 5'7". Congratulations.
Excellent.
Which of the following Pokemon is not the same height as Mike? Is it A, Swalot, B, Mr. Mime, C, Skarmory, or D, Charizard?
Wow, Mike is definitely the same height as Swalot. Come on.
I
Definitely.
know for a I look like a Swalot too. I know. I know.
that Mike's a Swalot.
I know for a fact that Charizard is actually in that area. I'm pretty sure, unless he's 5 feet tall exactly.
I'm
Fuck
not
it,
going
I'm going
Swalot,
I'm-
by the way, because Mike is the
No,
same
no,
height as the Swalot.
I think I'm gonna go. I actually am gonna go Charizard. I think it's actually shorter
Okay.
than 5'7".
I'm gonna go Skarmory.
You're saying the birds are out. You're saying people with wings are not 5'7".
Out.
Well, unfortunately, the correct answer is Mr. Mime.
Oh my goodness.
And Mr. Mime is 4'3", which I'm not sure if that actually makes him creepier or not.
It does.
Wait, isn't he the same height as Ash's mom? Ash's mom?
No, he's 4'3" apparently, according to the
don't know.
Pokedex.
I don't know.
Well, what are we gonna do?
And Swalots are massive. Oh my god. That's terrifying. It's just terrifying. All right, so our final height question is, James, you are the tallest of us all at 5'10". But would you believe that that's also not
I was
a real
wondering if it was going to
height?
be a real height or not.
So, let's say that you have a small step stool and you are now 5'11".
It's a real
Which of
small
the
step.
following Pokemon is not the same height as James? Is it A, Incineroar, B, Snorlax, C, Furret, or D, Aerodactyl?
Holy shit.
Wow.
The best part about this question is none of those Pokemon are even close to being the same size in my head.
Yeah, same. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. It's like
no.
if you told me to envision a picture of each of those Pokemon, they would
Yeah.
be like so wildly different.
Yeah.
Yes, but only one of these is not the
You know what?
same.
I'm gonna say it's Furret. Furret is
Yeah,
not
I
the
was
same
gonna go.
height as me.
I had Furret too.
Well, I can tell you that Furret's a real long boy, because the correct answer is B, Snorlax, at a whopping 6'11". He
Oh,
is
wow.
a big
That
Pokemon.
makes sense. That makes sense that he's a big boy.
He is indeed a big boy. So
Well, that was a grand zero for all of us.
James, we're so good
We
at
suck,
this.
man.
We're so good.
It's okay. We have one more section to go, and this is my personal favorite section. Because for those of you who know me in my personal life, I am currently studying the German language. And let me tell you, not all Pokemon have the same name around the world. And
True.
in fact, some of the German Pokemon names are quite delightful. So I have chosen 3 Pokemon. They can be, there's no restrictions on which Pokemon they are, but I'm going to read you the German name, and you have to take your best guess as to which Pokemon they
I love
are.
it. I love it.
So the first one is Kleinstein.
Oh my goodness.
Kleinstein?
Kleinstein.
See,
Yeah.
I recognize it, but I don't know at
Kleinstein.
all what it is.
Kleinstein.
Oh my god. Okay, I got it.
I
Okay.
gotta play my German Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Restart
Go
your
ahead,
Nuzlocke
James.
in German. I'm gonna say it's Kling Klang.
Oh, Clink
Yeah,
Clank.
no,
What's
I'm
the logic?
going
Kind of sounds similar.
Yeah, it just sounds
I am
similar.
going back. I'm going back to first gen,
Okay.
and I'm going to say Blastoise.
Ooh, you had the gen correct. But actually, a Kleinstein means little rock. Klein is the word for little, and Stein is the
Geodude.
word for rock. It is
Yeah.
a Geodude.
Okay,
I do. Now that you say Geodude, I did actually know that.
interesting.
Yeah. I knew that I had
Helps
heard
a
it at
lot
some
when
point.
you know some German
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
super obvious.
No shit.
All right, number 2. This is Schneebedeck.
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 Oh my
We're
goodness.
using Schneebedeck. There's only like 900 something Pokemon now. Just
Schneebedeck.
narrow it
How?
down.
This
Who's
is
using Schneebedeck?
torture, Kate. How are we supposed to have any idea?
I don't know.
Schneebedeck.
I just thought this was
Schneebedeck.
fun for me.
It is.
Schneebedeck.
I feel
This
like
is.
James. I feel like the score is going to end 2-1 in this
I think it's going
particular
to.
quiz.
Schneebedeck.
Yes.
I will say
Schneebedeck.
Schneebedeck. This is just fun. Is a.
Schneebedeck.
It's a Psyduck.
And
Why?
I'm going to
Because no
go.
reason.
Is
Yeah.
it because it kind of sounds like deck sounds like duck?
No, but it's because I'm watching
Possibly.
Mike's stream right now on our video
Oh,
thing.
and there's
He's running by
Psyducks running
Psyducks.
around. I'm just gonna say Skitty.
Skitty's actually a funny guess with the next one coming up because it kind of sounds like Skitty. But no, a Schneebedeck is actually Snover, everybody's favorite Pokemon,
Yes,
Snover.
of
Because
course.
it's a portmanteau of Schnee, which is snow, and bedeckt means covered. So its name is
Very
literally
nice.
just snow covered.
Of
How cute.
course.
That's actually really cool.
No, very cool. Now this next one is balls to the walls, and your final question of the day is which Pokemon is a Shiggy?
Oh,
Ooh.
a Shiggy.
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 I don't know what Pokemon this is, but I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know if this is really funny, but whatever Pokemon this is instantly one of my top favorite Pokemon now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Shiggy.
I can tell you it's not a Skitty, even though it kind of
Shiggy.
sounds like it.
I will say it
Let's
is a
go.
Pineco.
And I'm gonna say Snivy.
All right.
Just because it's similar.
I will say neither of you are close, but I'll let you guess again by giving you a clue. It is a starter Pokemon.
Shiggy.
Oh.
See if you can get it based off of that. Shiggy. Schiggy. Shiggy.
Torchic.
Torchic, okay.
I'll say. Ooh, Shiggy.
A chance to
Shiggy,
tie it
Shiggy,
up
Shiggy.
here.
I know the pressure's on. What do I have? Like a
Pressure's
1
on.
in like 27 chance or however many gens are?
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's better than you had before.
You know what? Let's go with Chikorita.
Oh, that's a good guess too.
choice.
Unfortunately, it is Squirtle. Your new favorite Pokemon is Squirtle.
Hey, he's already
now,
one of my favorites. Easy.
This
Already
one
one of your favorites.
has a bomb diggity, or shall we say a bomb shiggity reason
Oh my goodness.
as to where the name comes from. Because it comes from a like cutened version. They got it from Shield Corta. And they thought that Shiggy would be like a cute way of like taking a name out of that. And Shield Crota is what a tortoise is in German, but actually it's just the word shield and toad put together. So a shield toad
cool.
is a tortoise, and then from tortoise we can get Shiggy.
So here's the thing. You were telling us this the other day when I saw you, and if I had only just paid a little bit more attention, I might have been able to pick this up.
You fool.
It's on
but
me.
I guess I'm assuming you could guess what I believe it's Schneckemag or something like Schneckemag.
Oh, Mad Cargo.
Or something.
Mad Cargo or Slugma.
Yeah, that's right, because Schneck is a snail.
Yes. There you go, folks.
But unfortunately, that was not an official question.
Oh, that's fine. Well, why don't
congratulations,
we
Michael,
give it to him
on the
anyways?
victory.
Give it to him anyways so we can tie. It's the perfect ending.
And then you guys have to trade games.
We already
There
know
we
this.
go.
Me and Mike both failed miserably at this
Oh
quiz.
my goodness, that was. See, when I come onto this show, I don't expect to be good at the quiz because it is It is silly BS, but it's okay.
It's the way we love it, man.
It's silly BS, but these are all true Pokemon facts
Very good.
that you
There we
can
go.
verify on Bulbapedia.
everyone knows everything on there is 100% true. Never any
It's
falsities.
true.
Well, this has been a podcast, folks. This has been great. Michael, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have had you on the show today.
And thank you guys for having me. Much appreciated.
Anytime, man. You're the third chair in this show is welcome for you to sit in anytime you'd like.
It's a comfy chair.
Before you leave, though, remind everyone else just one more time where they can find you and what you like to do on Twitch.
Of course. So you can find me on Twitch at MrDelMonster, on YouTube under the same name, Twitter and Instagram also at MrDelMonster. That is Mr. DELMONSTER. I stream. I'm just a kind of a variety streamer. I stream everything from Pokemon to Elden Ring. I'm also playing Stardew Valley. I'm going to start some Spyro the Dragon soon. We're going to play some Sekiro. Just kind of mixing it up, playing whatever the hell I want because I feel like playing games. So come hang out. We have good times. I like to chat, so as you can tell. So come hang out. I'll talk your ear off all stream long.
Perfect. I can vouch for it, guys. It's a fun stream. Go check Mike out. Show him some love. Give him that sub. They give him those Twitch bits. Whatever else you do, and give him the Amazon Prime subscription. Becomes a Twitch subscription.
just follow. I don't need your money. I just want you to hang out.
There you go. Go hang out with Mike, everybody, and you can, of course, find him on Twitch all the time. You can find our show in multiple places as well. We're, of course, on all podcast platforms, as you can find on our link tree and all the links we have down below. We also want to shout out that this is the last month coming up December where you can support our show for the year, where we're taking a subscription for those who are willing to donate. We take any money getting donated for the rest of this year. We're donating to prochoice.org/donate for women's right to choose on abortion causes in the States. Very important cause, and thank you to everyone who's submitted any money for that and just generally supports our show because you guys are the reason we love to make this content. So thank you very much. But Kate, I think that's it. So until next time, we want to remind everyone that this has been Cloud Control, the gaming podcast that's not just good, it's good enough. And we'll see you on the next episode.